All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Asobi Asobase, Episode 1, a new show.
That's right.
And Jacob, you chose this show.
I did indeed.
As it is maybe like the perfect thing to replace Daily Lives of High School Boys?
That's what I've heard. And quite frankly, I've been really starved for some comedy. Daily Lives of High School Boys is amazing.
Yes.
But I had already seen
you
that,
had,
right?
That's true.
So I kind of want to get that experience of like just some good, hilarious fun. And apparently this is quite the darling, even if it isn't necessarily the most popular show. So,
sure, okay.
Yeah.
So we get Daily Lives of High School Girls, or maybe not high school. Who knows? I guess we'll see.
Something around those lines. Yep.
I'm all for it. I mean, the skits from the Daily Lives of High School Girls stuff in Daily Lives of High School Boys was some of the best stuff
out there.
Like, it was really good.
Yep.
And this show is a lot newer, so we're going to get some really, some good art and probably some good animation there as well.
Yep.
I'm also kind of excited to see if the style of humor is in some ways, like, completely different from Daily Lives of High School Boys, which I'm assuming it like has to be.
I'm guessing it will. Like, it might still be skit based. Like, I don't know if it's going to be skit based or like, dedicated episodes,
like a linear story more closely related to something like Fumofu.
Sure.
Maybe. Well, Fumofu was pretty episodic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But
it had the linear narrative behind it.
Right. And anytime you go into a comedy, there's the specific style of comedy that's done there. Like regardless of whatever the setting is or the skit, that kind of thing. Just the flavor of the writing for the jokes. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, this one is going to be a lot of fun. For those of you that are never watched any of our stuff or something like that, this is something we're going to kind of give you a little bit of a intro before we do like a new show or something like that. We have links that we'll be setting up for these shows here just, to deal with all the music issues and stuff for shows and things like that because of the big SONY. And yeah. So be sure to check that stuff out. Those will be links in the description. And let's get into this one. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Wow.
All right, we've got our trio of girls. Like, oh my god, this is some Konosuba level. Just, much faster dialogue, I would say.
Yeah, it reminds me of like A Place Further Than the Universe mixed with Konosuba, where the characters are absolute disasters, like in Konosuba, right? And they kind of are in Place Further Than the Universe too. But it's got that crazy snappy dialogue. So I think what this is that whoever's the creator of the source material, or if this is an anime original, just whoever like came up with the character like kind of personalities and such, absolutely nailed the frenetic terrors that are teenage girls, basically. Oh yeah.
So I think my like best kind of one-to-one kind of encounter of this type of girls was back when I was up, say about I don't know. I was really young. I want to say like 14 or so. Because this doesn't feel like high school girls. This feels like, or if I didn't see these. So this feels like junior high girls in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, or early high school.
Right, or like early high school. But there's this frenetic, chaotic energy that some of the girls can have. The ones that are, I would say, more expressive just in general.
Sure. And not to this level, of course.
Not to this level, definitely. But you'd have moments where you'd start talking with one of them in a group setting, and the way in which they're just completely like desynchronized like from the conversation and the flow of just time itself leads to just some of the most random just blurtings out of just words and phrases, and you just be like, I'm terrified of you. Like, I don't know like what's going on, but I'm sorry. Whatever's just going on with you, I can't be here. I'm sorry.
I gotta
And then
say,
the thing was weird was that there would be... Sorry. The thing that was weird is that there would always be one other girl that would then be able to match the level of intensity. And then they and you'd just be like, like confused screaming from ah! And I would just have my introvert like low level confidence, like lack of ability to follow the conversation, except when I had like a thing to say, it would be 20 seconds too late, So I just have these moments where I just sumimasen, basically, and just slowly walk backwards and then just disappear. Every time. Oh my god. I didn't get it at all. And the weird thing was that usually these girls were actually pretty attractive.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would genuinely want to spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't. My brain, my whole being just like hurt being around them. And oh my god, it was...
So
it was something.
Now that we've seen the first episode, I feel like we've got a pretty good idea of the style of comedy for this show.
So
and I gotta say, it does not disappoint.
Linear.
Yeah, it's linear with skits,
Uh-huh.
which is a pretty powerful combination in comedy, right? Also, the art style.
Yes.
My god.
Oh my god.
Not just the character designs.
But faces.
The derp faces. Not I feel like derp is almost too simple of a word to describe it. Because not only are they funny, but they're so vastly different. Because I feel like some derp faces in anime, they can feel samey after a while, because even if they're creative and manage to do it in like different ways, it's still the same style of derp face, right? So whereas in this one, I had no grid for what I was seeing, right? There were times when the eyes were looked like gemstones or something with all the different facets and stuff, and other times it was just like a pencil drawing practically, and it worked. It totally worked, and sometimes there would be multiple very different kinds on at the same time, it just added to the chaos and madness.
Like, do you remember in Great Teacher Onizuka the faces he would make at different points?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is our experience with kind of Japanese comedy anime, like specifically being like very little. Like, we don't have a lot of experience with some of the older classics in some regards, other than really Great Teacher Onizuka. So we don't necessarily see this as being like, unoriginal or something like that, which I'm sure in some ways this is like a type of comedy style that's very old, very tried and true. And this is just, it turned up to 11 specifically with high school girls. So it's
even in the case of Onizuka, like those faces were wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful, but they all, from comparing them to each other, had the same kind of style. They did, right?
Yes.
So
for the most part,
for the most part, So it was sort of like, yes, here's an Onizuka face, and they would be varied and they would be wonderful, right? Whereas here, the fact that I have no idea what kind of face I'm going to get next makes it that much more exciting, because then I feel like it's like a gold mine or something. It's like, ooh, there's a new one, and there's a new one, right?
This show is made to be gift.
Yeah.
I'll just say, this show is made to be gift.
Oh, man.
I love this style of zany, ridiculous comedy, because in some ways, I'm starting to see little bits of the characters come out in the faces. But it's in those little moments where you realize that it's happening so fast that you can't even register entirely what's going on. So it demands to be rewatched.
Yeah.
And with the speed at which the jokes are being delivered at you, you know that when you rewatch it, you missed, 15% of them.
Sure.
Like, you missed a small percentage of them.
Yep.
So you will get extra value going back and rewatching it and seeing that little moment where she slips the ham really quickly out of the sandwich while she's looking at there. And while they did address it in the dialogue, it's one of those things where the actual visual snapping of it, like, you might have missed that. Like, you could potentially have missed that.
Well, and also the idea that, like, with comedy, one of the things that can really bog down comedy for me, and this happens a lot of the times, I feel like, in a bridge series, is that they'll spend too much time on a joke. Right?
Oh, sure.
And there won't be enough stuff happening, so if the joke doesn't land, you kind of just wasted your time. And even then, the build-up to the climax of the joke usually isn't entertaining in and of itself. It's only entertaining in hindsight, kind of a thing, right? That can work, but it's not ideal in my mind, right?
And you don't want to do a bunch of those. If you want to do those, use it for only like one, like they did here with the principal, the guy that was basically there tasting the water. That was the perfect long form joke setup.
And they still had different things that they did up till then in order to keep it interesting, right?
Yes.
And that's what I really love about this show. It's one of the things that I really loved about the snappy dialogue in Place Within the Universe. And since this is a dedicated comedy, whereas like A Place Within the Universe was a comedy and like drama and all that stuff.
Yeah, it had like 20% of it dedicated to comedy, like a very small amount.
It was the comedy that was sprinkled throughout that helped make it feel real, right? Whereas this is pure uncut comedy, right?
Raw, just third person omniscient internal perspectives for everyone.
And I love it.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Oh, man.
It does not slow down.
Nope.
Like there were moments where I was just figuring out the dynamic of how she was disappointed about how things were going on with the tennis club based on how the pretty girls were basically like, oh, like good. And I'm like, wait a minute. They're being really passive aggressive here. This is some, and then she's like, I quit. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, but is that because of the fact that the cute boys won't be there, or is it because of the way they're treating her? Oh, it was because of the way they're treating her specifically. That was like an instant out for her thing there, because the boys thing is part of it. But the reason in some ways she wants a cute boy is because maybe that'll make her a little bit more popular.
Right. It's the going after the cute boys with the squad kind of a thing.
Exactly. Which is why they had the skit, I think, at the end with the puppets, where it's them trying to seduce a guy that isn't into girls.
Right, specifically a straight-laced guy that's like, no.
Right, and I think we need to make a distinction here. They are not meaning straight as in with regards to sexuality here, or even with regard to someone who's not into girls, meaning someone that is homosexual. They're talking specifically like someone who is very uptight and is like, I am focused on my sports or my career or my or my studies or something.
Yep.
What the hell? Is that a thing?
I guess.
All
I want to say is, where were all those girls when I was growing up?
Sorry, you didn't live in Japan, so you didn't get that one there.
But I wasn't in a bar.
I just gotta say, like, that as a concept, as a thing, is horrifying to me.
Oh, yeah?
That is horrifying. Because to me, I love the idea of a girl approaching me.
Mm-hmm. It's incredibly attractive.
If a pack of girls,
of wolves,
approaches me in almost under any circumstance, my PTSD kicks in. I'm like, nope, like, back away. There's more of you than there are of me. This is starting to get into a thing where I'm feeling physically threatened, and I'm gonna start punching things, you know. So like, don't do that. Like,
I gotta say, I loved the background wolf howling, the lonely wolf howling.
Yes, with Hanako.
Hanako, and she was talking about like wanting to be one of the popular girls and realizing she never was going to be.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man,
the references were really good. The Detective Conan part. Yeah. Oh my god, I loved that for a brief second. I believe it was Olivia who was like, "Oh, he's actually kind of nice," and then like Hanako looks at it like, "What the hell? Are you kidding me?"
He tasted that when he thought it, when we said it was our pee. Like, yeah. I thought he was gonna smell it. He'd be like, right. You know, but then he licked it, and I was like,
even smelling it would be a really gross thing too. Like, why? Why not just be going like, I need you to clean this up? Either way, it needs to be cleaned up.
Right. I could see him potentially smelling it just to be like, I call bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit. You know.
Well, right. Obviously, like there was a lot of it. So yeah, he was suspect
and
about
it was clear. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
yeah, licking it. No, like,
and then the Jabba the Hutt, like when regards to talking
trying
about
to get her fat,
regards to talking about being fat and stuff, and it was just like,
well, there is one other way other than genetics that you can increase your boob size. You just get fat if you have the joints for it. You know,
there's like the knees and the organs, and she's like, "How fat are you thinking of?"
Oh my god!
Like, oh my god! Hey. Curves are sexy, y'all. Curves are sexy. So, like, yeah.
Round
like,
is a shape.
And like, no, you don't have to be round either. Like, I think in some ways that's just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. More to love.
Yeah, more to love. Exactly. But, oh my God, I cannot just imagine being in the same space as these three girls at any given time. The amount of chaotic energy. Yes, disasters. They are absolute disasters, and it's amazing.
From across the divide of a computer screen, I think
we're safe.
We're safe. Yeah, for the most part. Although, you know, like, thought viruses are a thing, so, you know.
I think you like unintentionally just made the best joke and you didn't even know it right there. But I gotta say, the skits of the games combining with the idea that they started this with a backstory for the one girl that we don't know the name of yet.
Right. Yeah.
I loved that there was this idea that she was like, I don't like having fun because I kept losing constantly to my older sister.
And specifically the competitions. Yeah.
Right. Specifically the competitions. But very quickly with these girls, she detects that there is a way that she can finally have her victories. So she completely goes back on that little bit of backstory to be like, no, I am going to have fun with these girls. And thus, that's our little bit of wholesome in the midst of this here.
And also, I'm going to crush these girls because all of that past childhood experience has made me incredibly competitive
and bitter. Like, She's like,
it wasn't just a like, I like being competitive thing. It's like, no, there's some past stuff that's being brought to the table here.
And the way she like nearly like broke the thumb of Olivia there.
Yeah.
She's just like, mate.
Yeah, it's like, stop. It was like, hold on. This was a thumb war. Like, since when do non-thumbs come into play? Like,
I think Olivia's thumb became so numb so quickly she couldn't even tell that an index finger was being used.
Or it's just like, I don't care. Even if I can't beat you in a thumb war, because say she had a disadvantage because, Olivia had longer fingers.
It's a threat, basically.
It's a threat now.
Yeah, just like, you don't want more of physical violence, then you're going to teach me English. I loved also how quickly they basically took the typical kind of character designs of the three of them. And we were literally assuming certain things about their characters based on the designs earlier. And no, almost all their problems, their big problems that lead to their motivations and stuff, are the things that, yes, are the things that then they're trying to overcome. So in that sense, that makes them really relatable because they do have strengths in specific areas.
Sure.
They do. Like, they're really competent at specific things.
Yeah.
But the things that they're hyper-focused on are the areas where they don't have competence, which is going to lead to them constantly self-sabotaging like typical teenagers.
Sure.
Like, this is going to be wonderful because I don't see this changing anytime soon. Like, they're disasters, so they're going to keep making the cycle of the same mistakes.
That's what I thought was kind of interesting with how specific they got with setting up the premise, because it gives a reason for them to be interacting.
Right.
And then at the same time, would that make the jokes and things end up being kind of repetitive? Now, granted, that's what initially gets them together. That's not what's going to be about moving forward. So totally makes sense, right?
Yeah.
One thing, though, that I thought was kind of interesting, the blonde girl, is she good at anything? Like, Olivia? Like,
she's actually kind of cunning, I would say. The fact that I would say that with her, she is kind of outmaneuvering just barely.
But like she can't speak well in any language.
Well,
like they specifically were like, you can teach me English. I suck at English.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but wait, you were raised in Japan. I also suck at Japanese.
Yeah, I think what the depressing thing with Olivia is we're going to reveal that her parents are like extremely absent. And she's like lived a life alone, so she's trying to be friends with them as much as possible. But she also has to keep lying and maneuvering things here so they don't drop her and she's alone again. And that's going to be her wholesome thing, is that she's just trying to be friends with them, and they keep making demands of her, and she's like, I'm inadequate, so, lie, passive-aggressive, maneuver, get around this. And I could totally see it being a thing where her character is the one with the really tough backstory with regards to that, because there's also got to be a story of, why are the Americans living and raising their kid in Japan.
Right.
There's got to be some story about work here and stuff like that, and that'll be interesting to go into. Also, Hanako is rich.
Apparently filthy rich.
Filthy rich.
She just calls up her butler and is like, "Hey,"
immediately brings a trunk of a specific type,
a specific imported brand, basically.
Yeah,
and then they just soak it in water, like not just that he brings it, but then they proceed to ruin it,
right? What? Well,
all right.
I mean, to be fair, it probably is waterproof, so it won't get the water inside the case.
Well, I think they said that it's able to float, not necessarily that the water won't damage it.
No, of course it'll damage the outside. I'm just meaning, because it floats, that means it's carrying enough air or what have you inside it. Something that's keeping it floating. But was I the only one that thought trunks, like swimming trunks?
I thought that too. I thought they were going to get really lewd and start taking off their swimsuits.
Right.
But then it's like, wait, no, they're girls.
Yeah, and
swimsuits aren't trunks anyways.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And so that's just a classic example of where I think the show was misdirecting you, and it wasn't even really trying to. Like, it was just like, no, you pay attention. We're talking, like, it literally showed the image of the guy holding the trunk.
Oh, well, once it got to that point, I was like, oh, okay, there we go. That's what they're talking about.
Right. That is maybe a phrase, a way to call it that we as Americans, maybe as like dumb Americans,
or like,
we haven't called those trunks in like decades, you know?
Yeah,
so
like,
it's a suitcase, right?
When was that, like, in time-wise, was that, like, a term that was probably used in America to refer to those things?
So in some ways, I think what it is also, if this show is that, you know, is pretty smart with that, because they're discussing differences between, you know, American English and, you know, then Japanese, is that she's using the word trunks because she assumes in some ways that's what it is.
Yeah, like that whole thing of when you're learning a language and you learn like the super
formal
archaic way of talking that no one actually uses to speak.
Or specifically in some ways the English, you know, not American English, but actually like from, you know, the United Kingdom English, you know.
But that's one of the things that I could imagine being really hilarious if you learn a language, like, you know, technically, and you're really good at it, and then you go to some country
and all their slang
and
just
they just laugh at you. Like, they're just like
no,
like,
that's a thing. That's a thing. If you learn a language and you learn it almost strictly by books that are like kind of old school, you'll learn in some ways how to sound like you just don't belong there. Like
maybe it's not as much of an issue now because of the internet and like the information being a lot more up to date on things like that. But I could totally see it being something where, like, you know, maybe 20 years ago, and you're using textbooks that are 10, 20 years old.
Right.
And then
I learned, I would say, my first little bits of French in an extremely formal way, and it wasn't until I got to Running Start that the French started being taught in a much more informal way. And I would say I retained less of the informal stuff because I already had the formal way. The cool thing about learning things in the formal way, though, is that you learn how to read the language really well, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
And you're being taught in the informal way, you actually then know how to speak and get around in the country pretty
that's why it's taught that way. Like, it's the whole thing of like the rules for, like, say, English, right? Most Americans don't know what the rules are, right? Like if you have someone from another country and they're learning English as a foreign language, they will know more about English than Americans will, right?
It's so true.
Like, because you don't think about that stuff. You just, you know, you just talk.
You say things like, you know, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
like, imagine the poor, like, person coming to America and just hear to the US and hearing him say things like, you know, and they're like, is that a person's name?
Well, so we had a...
You know, Gasai, what?
We had a summer job that we worked, you know, a while back, like, long time ago. And we had, there were exchange students that would be there all the time. Right. So this was the kind of thing that we would always
got to learn a lot of their language.
We got to learn a lot of their language, usually all the words you shouldn't say in civilized conversation first, but
spasiba, you know.
Yeah. Suka bliat, you know. But it was always from the outside in, you know. So now I'm really curious what it would be like to go to another country and try to speak their language properly and just fail at it.
That would be fun.
But this is a great show.
This is a great start. Wonderful first episode. The ED doesn't fit any ED the ED formula of any show I've ever experienced.
So good. Like, the closest energy I can imagine from an ED that we've seen is like the NHK ED.
Oh, okay,
you know,
kinda.
where it just goes into the like crazy wacky stuff, but this
feels like the
level.
Black Lagoon OP.
Yeah, it's like the Black Lagoon OP, but as an ED. And
with high school girls
playing like
rocking out on a you know,
if they have like some sort of garage band that they try at some point or whatever, oh my god,
there's no way.
I would love that.
If anything, the way it would work is that Hanako is going to try to do that in a way to be popular, and she's going to have her family buy all this stuff,
super expensive
stuff, and then they play badly at it, you know,
but
because they
with
suck.
Heart.
But then the thing is that one of them is secretly really good, but because everyone else is playing so badly, they're intentionally like messing up. And then once they leave, then we just see them like they're just going for it on like.
I would not be surprised.
That would be pretty awesome.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. Also, by the way, personally for me, I find it extremely hot to see a girl like super into a musical instrument. Like,
oh, definitely,
like, really into it.
Well, especially if it's one of like the cooler instruments, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like,
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, okay, so there's the refined instruments that are
so like string instruments.
Yeah, like string instruments,
and
like piano
guitar?
and like basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
But you're basically talking about the drummer girl.
Yeah, the drummer girl or like the electric guitar, or something like that, and like yeah.
I don't know. I have seen a girl shredded on a violin. And I was just like,
well,
I am inflamed with desire at the moment.
I feel like it's a different kind at that point. Like, but yes,
sure.
yes, I totally see what you mean. Yeah.
Jacob's like, I want a drummer girl who can kick my ass, He's like, you're not wrong.
I
mean, but hey, great stuff. Wonderful show. I love that it pulled out all this funky discussion from us there. And I can't wait to rewatch this show. Like, this is wonderful. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. And you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep. I wrote a sci-fi novel. It's called Battle Lines. It's super awesome. A bit less manic than this show, but it is really cool, and it's on Amazon. Link in the description. You should go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.